Hello everybody, welcome to Network Tech Zone. Today we are going to learn about zone-based firewall with the configuration in Cisco IOS router. So first of all, what is a zone-based firewall? A zone-based firewall is an advanced method of stateful firewall. In stateful firewall, a stateful database is maintained in which the source IP address, destination IP address, source port number, destination port number is recorded. Due to this, only the replies are allowed. That is, if the traffic is generated from inside the network, then only the replies coming from outside the network is allowed. And also, zone-based firewall is the most advanced method of a stateful firewall. Zone-based firewall is available in Cisco IOS router. The idea behind zone-based firewall is that we do not assign access list to the interface. In zone-based firewall, different zones are created and assigned interfaces to the different zone. In zone-based firewall, security policies are assigned to the traffic between the zones. Let's get started with the configuration of zone-based firewall on Cisco IOS router. This is a topology that I have got here. So first of all, let's create zone and then create service policy for the traffic that is initiated from inside to the outside, and then inspect it so that traffic can come back from outside to the inside. Okay, so this is the topology here, and I've got 10.1.1.10 to this PC, which is present in the inside, and with the default gateway 10.1.1.1, and this is going to be the inside. And for the DMZ, the IP address I have is 192.168.10.1 on this router interface and 10.100 on this server interface over here. Okay, and for the outside, I have got 192.168.1.1 on the outside interface of this router and 1.2 on this Windows PC that you see here. And this is the outside. So now let's go ahead and configure IP address on this Windows PC here. Okay, and let's check. This is the Windows PC. Let's go to ncpa.cpl and check the IP address that I have here. Properties. So 10.10, it's already there. In 1.1.1 is the default gateway. Let's verify. Yeah, it's there. So the configuration on this Windows 1 is correct. Okay, and let's check the Windows 2. Okay, so we need to correct the IP address. So IP address is 192.168.1.2. Okay, and default gateway is 1.1. So let's change that. So it's 192.168.1.1. Okay, so that's the configuration on the Windows 2 PC. All right. And now let's configure IP address on the router. Okay. So the pieces is configured in. Now let's configure IP address on the router. So router R1. Okay. And let's go with the inside interface. It's interface Ethernet 0/1 with IP address 182. Oh, sorry, it's 10.1.1.1, 10.1.1.1, 255.255.255.0, and no shut. Okay. And we have the IP address for the DMZ. So configure terminal interface Ethernet 0/2 IP address. So what's the IP address here? It's 192.168.10.1, 255.255.255.0, no shut. Okay, done. Okay, so now let's go ahead and configure the outside interface for the router. So configure terminal interface Ethernet 0/0. This is the port. So Ethernet 0/0 IP address 192.168.1.1, 255.255.255.0, no shut. Okay. If you want to check the ports configured, show IP interface brief, include up. You can see that 3 of the ports are configured and they're all up. Okay. Now we're done with the configuration on the router, and also the configuration is complete on the Windows machine over here for the outside. Let's move on to configure the server here. So for the server, I would like to rename this because it's using the router name. So I will name it, it is name host name server. Okay. Okay. So IP address on this. What's the IP address for this here? It's 192.168.10.100. So interface Ethernet 0/0 IP address 192.168.10.100, 255.255.255.0, no shut. And since I would also want to have a telnet access from the inside so that I can access the server directly from the Windows PC over here with the help of telnet and SSH, I will also go ahead and configure the telnet and SSH on this server. Okay, so let's configure IP domain. And domain name, let's give cisco.com. Username, I'll give my name, Sanjana with the privilege 15, password in lowercase, Sanjana, and enable password, I will give in lowercase, Sanjana 123. Okay. And crypto key generate RSA modulus 1024. Okay. And you get this that it has been enabled. So now AAA new model. Okay, and line VTY. So here it is the 4 interfaces that's there. So I'll say line VTY is 0 to 4 and transport input SSH, and as also we want to enable telnet. Okay, so IP HTTP, you can just exit out, configure terminal, IP HTTP, because we want to enable the HTTP services. So we'll say IP HTTP server, IP HTTP secure server, okay, to access the web page securely. And then we can say IP HTTP authentication local, okay, exit. Okay, so now we have configured the commands for enabling the SSH and telnet, and also we enable the IP HTTP services on the server so that we can access the web page from this Windows PC to the towards the server. Okay, and now let's check if you're able to have a connectivity and ping the server. That is, we will ping the DMZ from inside and see if that works. So I'll go back to Windows machine 1. Okay. Okay, one more thing. Do not forget to enable the IP route. Okay, so from between the server and the router. So I will go to the server. Configure terminal. Okay. IP route 0.0.0.0 0.0.0.0, and then what's the destination IP address? It's 192.168.10.1. So this is the IP address I will configure on the server. So in the server, I will say 192.168.10.1. Yeah. 10.1. Okay. All right. So now let's ping from the inside PC to the DMZ. CMD. So this is the IP address 192.168.10.100. So ping 192.168.10.100. Okay, so from inside to DMZ, you're getting the reply. Okay, you're getting the response and you're able to ping. Similarly, from inside to the outside Windows machine 2, let's ping this IP address here. This IP address is 192.168.1.2, and that works. So at the moment, we have not configured any zones on the router, okay? And we are able to reach, we are able to ping the DMZ and also the outside Windows PC over here. Okay, let's check if you're even able to access the web URL on the server, because we enabled the IP HTTP command on the server. So let's check. So we'll add this IP address 192.168.10.100, and see if you are able to reach the web URL. In that work, it's asking for the username that we have already created. So I will give the same name here for the username and the password. Okay, that worked. Now let's check if you're even able to access the telnet. And for the telnet, I'll log into Putty session. And let's select telnet because we enabled that on the server. So 192.168.10.100, right? So 10.100. And there it is. So it's the same username that we configured with the password in lowercase. And for the enable, we give the password is Sanjana123, and that worked. So enable is enable password worked. We are able to even access the server with the help of SSH and telnet from the inside Windows PC. Okay, we are able to access the server which is present in a DMZ zone. But at the moment, we have not configured any zones. But now let's go ahead and create zone that is for the inside, outside, and the DMZ, and then create service policy for the traffic to be initiated from the inside to outside and from the outside to inside. Okay. All right. So let's create zone, and I'll go to the router. Okay, but before that, you can also check if you want to, that we already checked, we are able to reach this Windows PC from the Windows 1 present over here. If you want to check from outside to inside, let's check that. Let's log into Windows 2, okay, and go to command prompt. And so we are going to check the reachability from the outside to the inside Windows machine here. So from this Windows 2, let's ping this Windows 1 present in the inside. So ping 10.10.10.10. It's working because we don't have any policy applied so far. All right, so now let's create zone on the router. Configure terminal. Zone security inside. Zone security outside. Zone security DMZ. Okay, because we have 3 zones. That is inside, DMZ, and this one is the outside. Okay, so we just created zones, but now let's add the interface for each of these zones that we created. Okay, so this Ethernet 0/1 is for the inside. Okay, so interface Ethernet 0/1, this port. Okay, this is for the inside, so zone member security inside. Okay, similarly, we have one other interface Ethernet 0/2 for the DMZ. Interface Ethernet 0/2 zone member security DMZ. Okay, and we are remained with one more interface, that is Ethernet 0/0 for the outside. Okay, so I'm on the router. Ethernet 0/0 interface Ethernet 0/0 zone member security outside. All right. So now we have got this interfaces assigned for the zones that we have created. Okay. Now let's create service policy for the traffic from inside to the DM set. Okay. So we will try to reach now since we have created zone, but if you want to check if you're able to ping, it will fail because we have not added any policy for the zones. So let's check. I'm on a Windows 1 and let's go to command prompt, CMD. Okay. And what's my destination IP address? 192.168.10.100. At the beginning, we were able to see that we were able to ping from the inside to the DMZ server. But now you can see request timed out because we created the zone and we have not added any policy so far for the traffic to flow from inside to DMZ. So now let's create the policy and allow the traffic from the inside to reach DMZ. Okay, so I'm on the router, okay? And now let's create class map, type, inspect, match, I'll say any, okay? In, from inside to the DMZ. And I'll say class, okay? All right, now match. What are we going to match? We're going to match telnet. We will match protocol SSH, okay? We will also match protocol HTTP. We'll match even the secure HTTPS. And definitely match protocol ICMP, okay? All right, so now let's create policy map. So I'll say policy map type inspect into DMZ policy class type inspect into DMZ class inspect exit. Okay. Configure terminal again and say zone pair security into DMZ source. What's the source? It's inside, right? From inside, we are trying to reach the DMZ. So inside. So what's the destination? That's the DMZ. Service policy type inspect, and we'll be inspecting into DMZ policy. Exit. Okay, so now let's go ahead and ping from the Windows to the server and see if that works. So let's go to Windows machine 1. Earlier it was not pinging. Now let's check 192.168.10.100. That is this IP address for the server present on the DMZ. That worked. Okay, If you want to check the telnet, I'll just exit out of this and let me just close this. Okay, you can see HTTP because we enabled it and that's working. If you want to check the secure HTTPS 192.168.10.100, let's check if that works. Okay, you get this because it's a secure HTTP. I'll go to advanced. Proceed. And there it is, that worked. Okay, so we can access HTTP and also HTTPS. It's asking for the password. And I'll say the same password that we gave when we configured the SSH and telnet, and then that worked. Okay, and now let's check if you can access the server using PuTTY session for the telnet and SSH. I'm on a Windows machine 1. Okay, and one 192.168.10.100. So this is SSH. There it is in lowercase. Password Sanjana123. That's the enable password. Okay, that worked. So SSH is working. Let's check telnet. One 192.168.10.100. Username, password in lowercase, same password for enable is Sanjana123. That worked. Okay, so telnet worked, SSH worked, HTTP worked, and even HTTPS. Okay, so now we are done with the configuration for service policy for traffic from inside to DMZ. Next step is we'll try to reach from inside to the outside. That is, we should be able to ping from the Windows machine 1 to Windows machine 2. But let's check. Let's try to ping from this PC, Windows 1, to the Windows 2 present in the outside and check. We will not be able to ping because we have not created any service policy from inside to outside, but let's check 192.168.1.2. Okay. So we are getting 100% loss. So we are not able to reach this Windows 2 PC here on the outside. So let's create policy from inside to outside on the router. Configure terminal. Here we will use IP access list. extended into out ACL. Okay, and let's permit from any to any. Permit IP from any to any. Okay. Exit. Class map. Type inspect into out class. Match access group name. So what's the name? Into out ACL. That's what we just created here. Okay, so it's the same command here. Exit. Policy map. Type inspect into out policy. Class type inspect into out class. Inspect and then exit. Configure terminal again. Zone pair. Security into out. What's the source right now? We are trying to reach from this inside to the outside, right? So our source is inside and the destination is outside. So on the router, source is inside, destination is outside. Okay. Service policy. Type inspect into out policy. Okay. Exit. So now we have created the policy for the traffic to come from inside to the outside. Okay. And let's check if we are able to ping from the Windows PC to the Windows 2 present on the outside and see if that works. Earlier, we were getting 100% loss, but now let's check 192.168.1.2. That worked. So we are able to connect to the Windows 2 present on this outside from the inside Windows PC. Okay, now last configuration is we will be configuring the service policy for the traffic to be inspected from the outside to reach the DMZ. That is from this Windows PC to we will try to reach this server. But let's check right now. We have not created policy that we should be able to see drop in packets. I'll go to Windows machine 2. That is this PC here and try to reach this server. So ping 192.168.10.100. We should see packet drops because we have not configured any policy. We're getting timed out. So we can see that there is a drop of packets. You can see 100% loss when you initiate any traffic from the outside to DMZ. So let's move on to the router one and create the service policy. Configure terminal. Okay. I will also use IP access list extended. So out from the out to DMZ, right? And this is ACL. And let's permit specifically the TCP and ICMP. So I would like to permit TCP for the port number 22 for SSH and port number 23 for telnet. Okay, so permit TCP 192, that is this IP address here. So 192.168.1.2. Let's take this way. So 192.168.1.0, 0.0.0.255, and the destination IP address, I'll take the network address 192.168.10.100, okay? And the port number 22 for SSH. Okay. You're getting error here. Let's check. Okay, this is supposed to be the network address. So let's correct that. 192.168.1.0 and the mask 0.0.0.0.255. And here it is 192.168.10.0 network address, right? So on the router, we need to give this address here. So 192.168.10.0 and the mask 0.0.0.255. Okay, that worked. We need to give the port number for SSH. (22). Permit TCP. (22). Again, we need to configure the access list for SSH. So permit TCP. Same IP address we will use with the port number 23. Okay. We also want to permit ICMP, right? So this is the same IP address, just copy and paste it. Okay. So that's the ACL that we configured for permitting the SSH, telnet, and ICMP. Let's configure class map type inspect any. Inspect and we'll say match any from out to DMZ. Okay, class. Then what? We need to give the command match access group. What's the name of the access group that we created? Out to DMZ-ACL. Okay. Exit. Policy map type inspect. Out to DMZ policy. Okay. Class type inspect. Out to DMZ class. Inspect. Exit. Configure terminal, zone pair, security, out to DMZ source. So what's the source? We are trying to ping from the outside, from this Windows 2 to reach the server. Zone pair security out to DMZ source. So source is the outside. Destination DMZ. Service policy type inspect. Out to DMZ. Policy. Exit. Okay. Now let's ping from Windows 2 present in the outside to this server and see if we can reach this server present in the DMZ. Ping 192.168.10.100. Okay, so that worked. And since we have already configured SSH, so let's remotely access this server from the Windows 2 PC present on the outside and see if that works. We'll go to the PuTTY session and try to SSH the DMZ server here. So from this outside Windows 2, we are trying to remotely access the server using SSH. So 192.168.10.100. Okay. That worked. So it's giving the prompt, password in lowercase, enable. So now 123, the enable password, and that worked. Okay, so SSH is working. Let's check if Telnet works. Port number 23, 192.168.10.100. Okay. Enable password. There we go. Okay, so we are able to access this server, which is present in the DMZ remotely from the Windows 2 PC present in the outside. Okay. And also we are able to reach and we are able to ping the server from the outside, and that works. Okay, so this completes the lab on zone-based firewall on Cisco IOS router. I hope that this video has been informative to you all. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.